Okay, so guys, yes, if y'all want to see some... This is some greenwashing. Love the earth, yet this thing is made of plastic. SMH. But I got it for free, so I'm not complaining. Anyway. Anna Karenina, part 2, chapter 8. Karenin did not see anything peculiar or improper in his wife's conversing animatedly with Vronsky at a separate table. But he noticed that others in the drawing room considered it peculiar and improper. Therefore, he also considered it improper and decided to speak to his wife about it. When he reached home, he went to his study as usual, seated himself in his easy chair, and opened a book on the papacy at the place where his paper knife was inserted. He read till 1 o'clock, as was his wont, only now and then rubbing his high forehead and jerking off. Anna had not yet returned. With the book under his arm, he went upstairs. But tonight, instead of his usual thoughts and calculations about his official affairs, his mind was full of his wife and of something unpleasant that had happened concerning to her. Contrary to his habit, he did not go to bed, but with his hands clasped behind his back, started pacing up and down the rooms. He felt that he could not lie down, till he had thought over the newly arisen circumstances. When Karen had decided to talk the matter over with his wife, it had seemed to him quite easy and simple to do so, but now, when he began considering how to approach her, the matter appeared very difficult and complicated. He was not of a jealous disposition. Jealousy, in his opinion, insulted a wife, and a man should have confidence in his wife. Why he should have confidence. That is a full conviction that his young wife would always love him. He never asked himself, but he felt no distrust, and therefore had confidence, and assured himself that it was right to have it. Now, through his conviction that jealousy is a shameful feeling, and that one ought to have confidence, had not been destroyed, he felt that he was face to face with something illogical and stupid, and he did not know what to do. Okay, first of all, the fact that she stayed by and didn't go home with him, I'd be crashing out. Because you know she's getting pounded by Vronsky. Because what do you mean, oh, you go home, I'm staying here? Like, yeah, they were in, like, a public area, but, like, hello? Hello? It's crazy. Karen was being confronted with the possibility of his wife loving somebody else, and this seemed stupid and incomprehensible to him, because it was life itself. He had lived and worked all his days in official spheres, which deal with reflections of life, and every time he had knocked up against life itself, he had stepped out of its way. He now experienced a sensation such as a man might feel who, while quietly crossing a bridge over an abyss, suddenly sees that the bridge is being taken to pieces and that he is facing the abyss. The abyss was real life. Yo! The bridge was the artificial life Karenin had been living. It was the first time that the possibility of his wife's falling in love with anybody had occurred to him, and he was horrified. He did not undress, but paced up and down with his even step on the resounding parquet floor of the dining room, which was lit by one lamp, over the carpet of the dark drawing room, where a light was reflected only from a recently painted portrait of himself, which hung above the sofa, and on through her sitting room, where 2 candles were burning, lighting up the portraits of her relatives and friends, and the elegant knickknacks, long familiar to him, on her writing table. Through her room he reached the door of their bedroom, and then turned back again. From time to time he stopped generally on the parquet floor of the lamp-lit dining room and thought, "Yes, it is necessary to decide and stop it, to express my opinion of it and my decision." Then he turned back again. "But express what? What decision?" he asked himself in the drawing room, and could find no answer. "But after all," he reflected before turning into her room, "what is it that has happened? Nothing at all. She had a long talk with him. Well, what of that? Are there not plenty of men with whom a woman may talk? Besides, to be jealous is to degrade myself and her," he said to himself as he entered her sitting room. But that consideration which formerly had weighed so much with him now had neither weight nor meaning. In the bedroom door he turned back, and as soon as he re-entered the dark drawing room, a voice seemed to whisper that it was not so, and that if others noticed, that showed that there must have been something for them to notice. And again he repeated to himself in the dining room, "Yes, it is necessary to decide and stop it, and express my opinion." And again in the drawing room, at the turn into her room, he asked himself, "Decide what?" And then, "What has happened?" And he replied, "Nothing," and remembered that jealousy is a feeling which insults a wife. But in the drawing room he came again to the conviction that something had happened. Bro, did you just write the same paragraph again? Whatever. His mind as well as his body performed a complete circle each time without arriving at anything new. He noticed this, rubbed his forehead, and sat down in her room. Here, as he looked at her table, at the malachite cover of the blotting book and unfinished letter that lay there, his thoughts suddenly underwent a change. He began thinking about her, of what she thought and felt. For the first time, he vividly pictured to himself her personal life, her thoughts, her wishes. But the idea that she might and should have her own independent life appeared to him so dreadful that he hastened to drive it away. That was the abyss into which he feared to look. To put himself in thought and feeling into another being was a mental action and foreign to Karenina. He considered such mental acts to be injurious and dangerous romancing. "And what is most terrible of all," thought he, "is that just now, when my work is coming to completion," he was thinking of the project that he was then carrying through, "when I need peace and all my powers of mind, just now this stupid anxiety falls on me. But what is to be done? I am not one of those who suffer anxiety and agitation, and have not the courage to look them in the face. I must think it over, come to a decision, and throw it off," he said aloud. "The question of her feelings, of what has taken place or may take place in her soul, it is not my business. It is the business of her conscience, and belongs to religion," said he, feeling relieved at having found the formal category to which the newly arisen circumstances rightly belonged. "Well then," thought he, "the question of her feelings and so on are questions for her conscience, which cannot concern me. My duty is clearly defined. As head of the family, I am the person whose duty is to guide her, and who is therefore partly responsible. I must show her the danger which I see, warn her, and even use my authority. I must speak plainly to her." What he would say to his wife took clear shape in Karenina's head. Thinking it over, he regretted having to expend his time and powers of mind on inconspicuous domestic affairs, but nevertheless, clearly and definitely, as though it were an official report, the form and sequence of the speech he had to make. I got balls in my mouth, guys. Shaped itself in his mind. "I must make the following quite clear. First, the importance of public opinion and propriety. Second, the religious meaning of marriage. Thirdly, if necessary, I must refer to the harm that may result to her son. Fourthly, allude to her own unhappiness." And interlacing his fingers, palms downward, he stretched them, and the joints cracked. That movement, a bad habit of cracking his fingers, always tranquilized him and brought him back to that precision of mind, which he now so needed. The sound of a carriage driving up to the front door was heard, and Karenina stood still in the middle of the room. A woman's steps were heard ascending to the stairs. Karenina, ready to deliver his speech, stood pressing his interlaced fingers together, trying whether some of them would not crack again. One of the joints did crack. Blood just writes about anything. By the sound of her light step on the stair, he was aware of her approach. Though he was satisfied with his speech, he felt some apprehension of the coming explanations. Chapter 9. Anna walked in with bowed head, playing with the tassels of her hood. Her face shone with a vivid glow, but it was not a joyous glow. It resembled the terrible glow of a conflagration on a dark night. What does that word mean? Conflagration? Conflagration. A large...
Conflagration.
Conflagration. Okay, period. Period, I guess. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. It means a fire. It resembled the terrible glow of a conflagration on a dark night. On seeing her husband, she lifted her head, and, as if awakening from sleep, smiled. "You're not in bed? What a wonder," she said, throwing off her hood, and without pausing, she went on to her dressing room. "Alexis Alexandrovitch, it's high time," she added from beyond the door. "Anna, I must have a talk with you." "With me?" she said with a surprise, coming back from the other room and looking at him. "What is it? What about?" she asked, seating herself. "Well, let us have a talk if it's so important, but it would rather be better to go to bed." Why did I just add 7 words to this sentence? I'm gonna kill myself. She's so nonchalant. Anna said what came to her head, and hearing her own words was astonished at her capacity for deception, how simple and natural her words sounded, and how really it seemed as if she were merely sleepy. She felt herself clothed in an impenetrable armor of lies, and that some unseen power was helping and supporting her.
Anna, I must warn you, said he.
Warn me? She asked. What about? She looked so naturally and gaily at him that one who did not know at her as her husband could not have noticed anything strange in the intonation or meaning of her words. But for him, who knew her, knew that when he went to bed 5 minutes late, she noticed it and asked the reason, knew that she had always immediately told him all her joys, pleasures, and sorrows. For him, her reluctance to notice his state of mind or to say a word about herself meant much. He saw that the depths of her soul, till now always open, were closed to him. More than that, he knew from her tone that she was not ashamed of this, but seemed to be saying frankly, yes, it is closed, and so it should be and will be in future. He now felt like a man who, on coming home, finds his house locked against him.
But perhaps the key can still be found, thought Karenina. I wish to warn you, he said in low tones, that you may, by indiscretion and carelessness, give the world occasion to talk about you. Your too animated conversation tonight with Count Vronsky,
he pronounced the name firmly and with quiet deliberation,
attracted attention.
As he spoke, he looked at her laughing eyes, terrible to him now in their impenetrability, and felt the uselessness and idleness of his words. You're always like that, she replied, as if not understanding him at all, and intentionally taking notice of his last words. One day you disliked my being dull, another day my being happy. I was not dull. Does that offend you? Dude, she is such a fucking gaslighter. She's actually like the fucking, summa cum laude from Bop University. That's crazy. Anna, girl, you can't be fucking doing this. This is messy. Karenina started and bent his hands to crack his fingers. Oh, please don't crack your fingers. I dislike it so, she said.
Anna, is this you?
Said he softly, making an effort and refraining from moving his hands. But whatever is the matter? She asked in a tone of comical surprise and sincerity. What do you want of me? She is... Girl! Anna, you... Oh my god. Anna, you deadass can't be doing this shit. You're crazy. This bitch is crazy. Oh my god. Karenina paused and rubbed his forehead and eyes. He felt that instead of doing what he had meant to do in warning his wife that she was making a mistake in the eyes of the world, he was involuntarily getting excited about a matter which concerned her conscience, and was struggling against some barrier of his imagination.
This is what I intended to say, he continued coldly and calmly, and I ask you to listen to me. As you know, I consider jealousy an insulting and degrading feeling, and will never allow myself to be guided by it. But there are certain laws of propriety which cannot be disregarded with impunity. I did not notice it this evening, but, judging by the impression created, I'll present notice that you behaved and acted not quite as was desirable.
Really, I don't understand at all, said Anna, shrugging her shoulders. Anna! Girl, you can't be saying this. It's all the same to him, she said to herself, but society noticed, and that disturbs him. You're not well, Alexis Androvich, she added. Oh! Rose and was about to pass out of the room, but he moved forward as if wishing to stop her. His face looked plainer and gloomier than she had ever yet seen it. Anna stopped, and throwing back her head and bending it to one side, she began with her quick hands to take out her hairpins. Well, I'm listening. What next? Oh, she don't give a... She is winning the Don't Give a F award. She won the... Oh my god. She don't gaff. Oh my god. She said quietly and mockingly. I am even listening with interest, because I should like to understand what it is all about. Ooh! As she spoke, she wondered at her quietly natural tone and at her correct choice of words. Anna! Anna! You bop. You little bop. Oh my god. I know she got that D from Vronsky. That's why she's so calm about it. She's like, yeah. Yep. I got that D from Vronsky, so I can... Like this, I'm passing all the QuickTime events. Anna, oh my god. I guess, bro. Like, dude.
I have not the right to inquire into all the details of your feelings, and in general, I consider it useless and even harmful to do so, began Karenina. By digging into our souls, we often dig up what might be better have remained there unnoticed. Your feelings concern your own conscience, but it is my duty to you, to myself, and to God to point out your duties. Our lives are bound together, not by men, but by God. This bond can only be broken by a crime, and that kind of crime brings its punishment.
I don't understand anything. Oh dear. And as ill luck will have it, I'm dreadfully sleepy, said she. Oh! Oh, shit. While with deft fingers she felt for the remaining pins in her hair.
Anna, for God's sake, don't talk like that, he said mildly. Perhaps I am mistaken, but believe me that what I am saying I will say equally for my own sake and for yours. I am your husband, and I love you.
For an instant her head had drooped and the mocking spark in her eyes had died away, but the word love aroused her again. Love, she thought, as if he can love. If he had never heard people talk of love, he would have never wanted that word. He does not know what love is. Alexandrovich, I really do not understand, she replied.
Explain what you can...
Oh, wait. Explain what you can... Wait. Okay, no. Explain what you consider...
Allow me to finish. I love you, but I am not talking of myself. The chief persons concerned are our son and yourself. I repeat, perhaps my words may seem quite superfluous to you. Perhaps they result from a mistake of mine. In that case, I ask your pardon. But if you feel that there are any grounds, however slight, I beg you to reflect. And if your heart prompts to tell me...
Karenina did not notice that he was saying something quite different from what he had prepared. I have nothing to say. Besides, she added rapidly, and hardly repressing a smile, it really is bedtime. Oh, Anna! She is such a bop! Anna, why you cannot be saying this to your husband? Yo, she is a freaking mastermind gaslighter. Me when I lie or what? Like, oh my god, Anna. Oh. Like, okay, Stonewall. Like, damn. Okay, Stonewall Queen. Like, this is... Oh my god. Karenina sighed and without saying anything more went into the bedroom. When she went there, he was already in bed. His lips were sternly compressed and his eyes did not look at her. Anna got into her bed, and every moment she expected he would address her, but she was afraid of what he would say, and yet wished to hear it. But he remained silent. She lay waiting and motionless for a long time, and then forgot him. She was thinking of another. She saw him and felt her heart fill with excitement and guilty joy at the thought. Suddenly she heard an even, quiet, nasal sound like whistling. For a moment, the sound he emitted seemed to have startled Karenina, and he stopped. But after he had breathed twice, the whistling recommenced, with fresh and calm regularity. It's late, she whispered to herself, and smiled. For a long time she lay still, with wide-open eyes, the brightness of which it seemed to her she could herself see in the darkness. Damn, that's crazy, yo. That's crazy. This book is, like, dramatic and shit. Oh my god, Real Housewives of St. Petersburg. For real. Damn.